Hello! So, I read 3 books in January. Not the best reading month I've ever had, and I think I remember I didn't actually do a December reading roundup either, because realistically that wasn't that productive anyway. But the 3 books I read in January were mostly fine, so let's get through them. We'll do them in order. It's not going to take that long. So the first book was The Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. It's a fantasy kind of YA sort of jobby where there's essentially a girl in a magical school, think kind of Harry Potter, but everything is incredibly deadly and all she ever bangs on about is the fact that the whole school is trying to kill her. Both students and also creatures just literally can crawl out in the middle of the night and kill you. A lot of it is very dark. A lot of it's very kind of like monologues speaking about things that it's just very depressing to constantly hear about. Wasn't a big fan of it. Wasn't sure if there was any story really going on. I think the idea is essentially very powerful. She's trying to find friends. Nobody really wants to be friends with her because she's a bit off. She's not very normal. I don't know. Very odd book. I'd probably give this 3.75, 4 at max. The second book was Dragonflight by Anne McCaffrey. Now this is a classic. If you're a fantasy person, you've likely heard of Anne McCaffrey. She was doing fantasy back in like the 1950s, 60s, I'm not sure when this was first published, and her Dragonflight series is the magnus opus of her kind of literature. There is an initial trilogy and there's about 30 books or 20 books or something in the series, which I think some of them were written by some of her family as well. Anyway, this is the first one. Focuses on the introduction of the world, a little bit of a story, focuses on Pern and Lessa is an outcast who is she's a survivor, and it kind of introduces her along the way. I won't ruin too much story. Obviously there's a lot of dragons in it because that's the point of it. The dragons and the humans have this kind of ability to communicate, or Lessa does anyway. There's more going on in here, but it's very short, so I don't want to spoil too much of it in case you're interested in it, but it's very good. 4.25, I think I'd give this one. And then finally we have The Bee Sting by Paul Murray. This was very long. I'm not too sure if I really enjoyed this one in the end. It's, as I said, long, and it felt long. It didn't feel like one of those books that was long and I thought I could have kept going on with that for ages. It bounces around essentially this small kind of cast of characters, both when they're older, when they're younger, and it bounces around very difficultly. Now I didn't actually pick up the book and read the physical book, though I did notice there's a lot of kind of grammar issues with it, and I thought, is that a problem with my print? And then people said online, no, that's to signify both the different characters or possibly their kind of spiral down into madness and things. Towards the end I was listening to the audiobook and there's loads of characters just jumping around. I'm talking like 2 or 3 sentences each, and there's different, the audiobook's quite good because at least you've got different people speaking, but I can't remember who that voice is supposed to be. That's not how audiobooks work. I just listen. I know I'm listening about JP, or I know I'm listening about his mum, or I know I'm listening about someone else. Very odd. Not sure if I really liked it. I'm a big fan of The Heart's Invisible Furies, which kind of had this long epic of a person's journey to it, and I liked that, but this one I never felt that connection to the characters, and as I said, it just felt very long. So that was The Bee Sting by Paul Murray.